Okay, good afternoon and welcome to our 2026 series of webinars. This is my first one of the year, so I'm excited to get going. Today we are focusing on how OpenFifth and the Koha Library Management System are perfectly suited for museum and special collection libraries. As you can see here on the slide, during today's webinar, I'm going to give you an overview of OpenFifth, who we are and what we do. Introduce you all to Koha if you don't already know anything about it as our library management system that we offer here at OpenFifth, and then give you examples for why Koha is a great system for museums and special collection libraries. But first of all, let's take a little step back and allow me to introduce myself. My name is Helen Symington and I am the sales executive here at OpenFifth. In my role, I look after the special libraries. Now, what we mean by special library here at OpenFifth is simply any library that doesn't fit neatly into the big main categories of public, health, or academic. And the reason that I am in charge of the special libraries is because in a previous life, I worked in a few. I started off my career in libraries as a graduate trainee in Trinity College in Dublin before moving on to the National Library of Scotland, where I worked with archives as well as the library collections. I then worked as a supervisor for the Sighthill and Ratho Public Libraries in Edinburgh, and finally worked on a photograph archive that is held in the National Library of Scotland, but I was employed privately. So my career is as varied and special as the libraries that I now look after for OpenFifth. And I have to say this every time. One of the favorite things that I have about my job is discovering the different libraries, archives, and collections that I never knew existed. And I'm still not over the fact that there's a National Needlework Archive and a wool museum. Next, I'm going to tell you about OpenFifth as a company. Now, OpenFifth is a privately owned UK-based virtual company. All of our employees work from home. We work with open source software. More specifically, we offer open source library solutions. An impressive 70 to 75% of our staff are former librarians or have library experience, myself included, as you've just heard. We have a fantastic development team who also work as part of our support team, addressing bugs and adding new features. They are heavily involved in the Koha and Aspen communities and are contributing to the development of those products. That means that if there are developments that you would like to see, we have the people that can work on those developments. Our infrastructure is very secure, resilient, high performing, with UK hosted systems that are backed up by international accreditations, such as ISO 27001, Cyber Essentials, and Cyber Essentials Plus. Our support is something we are very proud of. We don't have tiered support levels. All of our customers receive the same level of support. For our museum and special libraries, we know that the size of those libraries can range from a single librarian who does everything up to a large institution that has hundreds of members of staff in multiple departments. And I can't ever get the phrase jack of all trades, master of none out of my head when I think about librarians. Yes, librarians are amazing and you do everything amazingly, but sometimes you want to be able to reach out to somebody else and just say, look, I don't know how to do this. Please help me. And that's what we're here for. That's what our support is here for. As a company, we are deeply committed to three core ethical values: being socially equitable, economically responsible, and environmentally conscious. These values not only guide our daily operations, but also align closely with the principles that underpin the open source movement and libraries themselves, which is why we work with the products that we do. To be socially equitable, we want to promote equal access to technology and knowledge, regardless of an institution's or organization's economic status. By contributing to and supporting open source projects, we help create a more level playing field for libraries across the world, enabling institutions of all sizes to access high quality software solutions. To be economically responsible, we mirror the open source model, demonstrating that it's possible to create value and sustain operations without exploiting our users or resorting to predatory business practices. We strive to provide value to our customers and community while maintaining a sustainable business. We believe in fair pricing, efficient resource use, and creating mutual benefit for all stakeholders. And finally, OpenFith is a net zero carbon company. It's important to us that we are environmentally conscious. We strive to maintain and improve our sustainability to minimize our impact on the environment. But it's not just us, it's also the people we work with. We want to help our customers be more sustainable and environmentally conscious too. Open source is collaborative, and collaborative development leads to more efficient code, reducing energy consumption. Open source solutions can extend the life of hardware, reducing e-waste. And the open source community's emphasis on remote collaboration aligns with our efforts to reduce travel and minimize our carbon footprint. We cover this in a previous webinar, what sustainability means for open source and PTFS Europe. So that shows how old it is, I'm afraid. That's our former name before we changed to OpenFifth. Now, the benefits of our product suite are that they help us fulfill our vision of making technology easier for libraries. The public interfaces promote user engagement and the role of the library in the organisation. The ease of system administration results in lower staffing overhead. The lightweight environment results in drastically reduced need for IT involvement. The intuitive and fast workflows reduce the need for staff training and increase staff efficiency. The sophisticated and easy to use analytic capability improves library service planning and statistical and financial modelling. And all of these benefits together boost the overall return on investment and value for money being achieved by the library service. Now, my slide here lists the products that we offer. And obviously, I'm focusing on Koha, our library management system today. But we do also have Aspen Discovery, which is our user discovery and engagement interface. We have Metabase, which is our reporting and business analytics software. And we're very aware that many of our museum and special libraries aren't just libraries. They also have archives and digital collections. And so we want to help them as much as we can with our other products. For example, Access to Memory or Atom, which is our archival description and access software. DSpace is our digital institutional repository, and Novation as our content management system. We work with libraries across all sectors, predominantly in the UK, but also in Europe and a few further afield. Some of our libraries just have our Koha library management system, but some have a combination of the other products that we work with as well. So Koha was the first open source library management system, and it's turning 26 this year. Koha is one of the world's most widely used library management systems. It's developed and financially supported by a network of over 40 Koha partner service companies worldwide, including ourselves. This means that there is a huge community of people out there that are using Koha and support it. If you have Koha and you want to do something that's a little out of the ordinary in terms of standard library workflows, chances are another library around the world might already be doing that or something similar. And by asking within the Koha community, you could save yourself some effort by getting their advice or help. And we've seen that here in OpenFifth. I have two customers that I put in touch with each other for help and advice on a thorny cataloging issue that the two of them were dealing with. One had already come up with a solution that they really liked, and they shared that information and that knowledge with the other library as well, which is exactly what we want to see. We want to see people sharing and helping each other. Now, Koha is an open source solution, and open source solutions are free to download, but they're not free to run because obviously you need to download it onto a server, and the server costs you money. You also need to have the knowledge and experience to be able to set it up properly and run it independently. And there are plenty of people around the world that do that. But as I've previously said, that's what OpenFifth and the other support companies that support Koha are for. We help you with that. We take that burden away from you. Now, moving library management systems is a big project. There's a lot to think about it, and it can be a little bit pricey. But when you have an open source solution like Koha, whether you're trying to run it yourself, but that's no longer sustainable capacity wise, or you've been using it for a while, but you don't love the support company, and I will include us in that, despite the fact that we're lovely and amazing, and there's no way that you would want to leave us. You're much more likely to come to us. You could keep Koa and come to a support company for that help and to ease that burden of trying to manage it all yourself. Or you could switch support company to somebody that better suits your needs. And those two methods are probably about the easiest and cheapest ways to make those changes for your library. If you're in the very sad position of not currently using Koha, OpenFifth have years of experience of implementing new Koas, and we have refined that implementation to a fine art to make it as smooth and as easy a process for you as possible. And the final thing that I want to cover on this slide is the roadmap for Koha. The roadmap for Koha is customer driven. As a customer of OpenFifth, you have the option to tell the community directly what you want because you are part of that community. Or you can tell us what you want and we will represent you. We will also ask you what you want so that we're not making the assumption that we know and then going ahead and doing things to represent you that actually we should have asked you in the first place. And we contribute a lot to the community. Our developers are heavily involved. Some of that involvement is part of your annual subscription, so for example, security and bug fixing, but some of it can be additional. You can hire our developers to work on a project that might be a little bit more specific to you, your library, and your needs. If you have a pot of money for that, that is absolutely amazing. We can use that. If you don't have a full pot of money, or if your pot of money doesn't fully cover it, you could reach out to the community to see if there are other libraries that also have that desire. And you could potentially put together a collection fund and pay for it in that way. And we would help you do that. Almost crowdfunding or a Kickstarter. You can think of it in those terms. Now, in terms of functionality, Koha has everything you would expect from a library management system, and it continues to grow as the community of developers add new models and refine them. And because it's open source, all of those new features and refined features that are added to the core code will end up in your system when we upgrade you annually. And that's all part of the service that we provide for you. Now, I'm going to come out of my slides and go to the staff demo. So I'm looking at the staff interface of our Koha demo. Koha is completely web-based. I briefly mentioned it earlier, but open source solutions like Koha can extend the life of your hardware. And the reason for this is because it's web-based, it means that you don't have to download any software onto your computer. You can just use whatever browser you prefer to use. And I'm currently using Google Chrome, which I probably shouldn't. I should probably be using an open source software. And you just need the access to the internet. You can have as many staff members with as many tabs of Koha open as you want. So at the minute, I have one tab open. But if, for example, I wanted to have a look at cataloging, I can right click on the cataloging module here, open it in a new tab, and I have an instant new tab of Koha open. There are no license fees. So the only real restriction is the number of tabs that you can stand to have open at any one time. Koha is also fully responsive to whatever size of screen it is being used on. So if you want to be mobile, for example, if you're down in the stacks doing some stock checking or just walking around the shelves, you could be on a tablet or a phone and you can access Koha and perform all the functions that you need. If you can't access the internet, for example, if your stacks are in a basement and all signal gets cut off, which in my experience is where most special collections are held, Koha has an inbuilt offline module as well. Now I'm going to start navigating around the system a little bit. I'm going to go back to my previous tab to have a look at my home dashboard. I'm a super librarian, which means that I have access to absolutely everything, which is why I have so many buttons here. Um, Koha is fantastic in that there's multiple ways to do the same thing. So as you saw, I accessed the cataloging module here via the button that's on my dashboard, but I also have the option up in my universal bar at the top here. If I go to more, I can also access cataloging and any of the other modules that I want to access from that as well. And if I jump over to the cataloging tab that I opened earlier, if I go to that again, you can see that my universal bar has remained and I still have access to all of these modules quite quickly and easily. I can also use my keyboard to tab around the system so you can see that each module there is being highlighted. And I discovered this the other day. If you hit shift and tab, you go in the opposite direction, which was quite a novel thing for me to learn. Koha meets WCAG 2.2 AA accessibility standards. And we will help you as a customer to ensure that you retain those accessibility standards as you set up your system and as you customize your OPAC, for example. Um, Navigation around Koha, we have all sorts of navigation links and hyperlinks that allow you to navigate around the system easily and simply. We also have context sensitive help. I'm just going to have to move my own face a little minute. So up in the right hand corner, you have a help button here. Now I am on the dashboard, but if I go to my cataloging, actually, I tell you what, why don't I go to my reports module and open a new tab just to show you how many tabs I can potentially open in Koha. If I go to my help button here, and I'll open that in a new tab as well, this takes me to the Koha manual and it takes me directly to the reports section. Being open source, the Koha manual is freely and openly available to anybody to look at whenever they want to. And it's really handy to be able to jump straight to the section that you're currently in for your help. Now, I'm going to say it again. OpenFIT are here to help you, and our support are here to help you. So yes, absolutely, you can look at the manual and help look for these things to help yourself. But we also have our customer support help desk portal. So you could log in as a customer, ask your question, and our amazing support team will jump on and get those answers to you as fast as possible. We don't really want you to just tell us about the problems that you're experiencing. We do also want to know if there's something that you'd like to do and you're not really sure if it can or how to do it. Ask us the question and we will help you as best we can. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is the fact that I am a super librarian and I do have access to all these modules. We're very aware that not all museums or special collections use all of the modules and the functionality that Koha offers. For example, not all special libraries will circulate the material. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to use them. You can hide a lot of the things that you don't use as well, so you're not even looking at it. But if you decided down the line that actually we would quite like to add a few more things that we do, we would like to start circulation. It already exists in the system. It's there for you to use. And there's no additional fee and there's no additional thing that gets added on for you to start using circulation or serials or acquisitions. You just start using it whenever you're ready to, or if you want to. I'm going to go back in to my cataloging module and I'm going to talk a little bit how cataloging in Koha is really helpful for the different ranges of libraries that you get within museums and special libraries, because you can have on the spectrum of the type of cataloging that you want to do, you can go all the way in with an advanced editor. So if I go into my advanced editor mode here, I can catalog in Mark 21 from absolute scratch. Some of the collections that we work with are so niche that no other records exist. So our catalogers do build that record from absolute scratch. You have things like your keyboard shortcuts, so you can use those whenever you're cataloging. And you can also see the breadcrumb here that is telling us where we are in the system. So I can just go back to the cataloging module by clicking on this button and not having to go back to the start, or I could have gone back to the dashboard and come back into it in a different way. The other great thing about Koha is that to save your staff time and effort, if there is another library that exists that is cataloging the records that you're also using, Z3950 is inbuilt in Koha. It comes as standard. So you can use Z3950 to search for a record that you're looking for. This is the list of libraries that we have connected to our Koha. But if there is a library out there that you know is creating the records that you want to use and that allows for their records to be used in Z3950, we can add that to that list for you. And that saves you the effort of having to catalog from scratch, something that you can borrow from somebody else. Then in between those two extremes, you can also create a new template. Sorry, whenever you're creating a new record, you can have set up templates that follow a standard that you want to set for your records. So for example, you can see that we've got quite a lot here, but even if I just go into books really quickly and I come out of my advanced catalog just by checking this box off, you can see in our template, I'm just going to double check that I've done that correctly actually, now that I'm not in advanced and go back in, you can see that in our template, and if I scroll down, our template has already filled in some of the bits of information for us, which saves us time going forward. We're just having to fill in the exact bits of information, the specific bits of information for that catalogue that we want. The next section that I want to look at is the report section, which I've just remembered I already opened that in a tab. This is another area of Koha that, for depending how in depth and how from the ground up you want to do this, you can create a report from scratch using Create from SQL if you know how to do that. You can also use the list of saved. Sorry, let me check that again. Koha has a reports library, and if I open this in a new tab, this is a library that Koha users from around the world have created, and this is all freely available for you to look. So you can see that it's broken down into the different sections. So the chances are a report that you want to run already exists in some format, so you can go to it, you can click on it, copy it and paste it into your Koha and run that report from scratch. You could also edit it if it doesn't quite match your requirements. And then the easiest thing you can do is save that report in your own Koha instance. And this is where the saved reports are for ours. And for example, it's broken down into the different sections, the different areas of Koha that you might want to report on. I've got it in cataloging, and if I scroll down, and I'm just going to look at Janet's bib report, I can run that report from here with a very simple, very few couple of clicks. If you want to make your life even easier than that, you can save a link to that report and save it on your dashboard, for example, down here. So it's literally just 1 or 2 clicks that you're doing to run a report to save yourself time. And then the other option that you have is a ChatGPT report assistant has been trained on the core reports module. So you can have ChatGPT help you write a report, and it will also help fix any errors if it doesn't run properly. And even I've managed to get a report run using this, which is quite impressive for me. So I'm really running out of time here. So I'm going to very, very, very quickly show you your digital front door. The other fantastic thing about Koha for museums and special libraries is the customization ability that the OPAC, your digital front door, has. This is our demo system, so you can see that we've kept it quite pared back and quite simple. We've got a nice little bit of color. We've got a nice carousel of book covers, and then we've got links to a couple of areas that, as a demo system, we would like to show people it is capable of. If I show you some real life examples, the National Archives, sorry, they also have quite a clean lovely look to their Koha OPAC. They've got their branding, they've got their colours, and then they've got information about how to use their system. If I jump to the Society of Antiquaries, they have also used a lovely branding of their building itself, and they have also embedded some of their social media feed into their OPAC to help share their collections, to help make themselves more visible, and also a lot of information about how to use their collections, who they are, and what they do. The Royal Conservatoire of Scotland is another OPAC that has a really lovely, clean layout to it. They have embedded their social media in it. They've just got really simple information, but they've also used lovely, bright visual colours to highlight different sections for people to see. The British Museum, you can barely tell is a Koha OPAC because they have customized theirs to such an extent that it's seamless with their other website, with their general website, which is fantastic because people are happy enough to look around and just search for things. And I'm going to call it there. I'm going to jump back to my slides just so I can show you the last couple of slides. Um, OpenFifth, Koha, and Adam are amazing systems for museums and special libraries, and we really hope that you agree with us and would like to chat to us more about that. We do have a couple of other webinars coming up. We've got our Koha LMS for government and department libraries and our Koha LMS for law libraries. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can follow us on YouTube for all of our other videos. And thank you very much.